just happened to you, Gabriel? You're smoking cigarettes now?
Leave me alone, Jeff. I like it. It's all I have.
What is up, Chocolatiers? So I just watched Good Fortune starring Keanu Reeves, Aziz Ansari, and Seth Rogen. And it might honestly be one of the most surprising comedies of this year. I went in expecting a lighthearted, maybe even disposable comedy. And what I got instead was something that had real heart, real commentary to say, and some genuinely great performances. So the plot setup is that you have Aziz Ansari's character named Arj, who's living that grind life. You know, he's low income, sleeping in his car, working like 15 different jobs through apps like I think it's called Taskmaster or something like that. And he's kind of like doing like a DoorDash driver thing. And he's doing everything that he can just to get by. He did everything he was supposed to do. He went to college, got a degree. Nobody will hire him. And then you enter Jeff, played by Seth Rogen. And Jeff hires Arj to clean out his garage, and from there, he ends up testing him out as his assistant. They end up hitting it off, and things are going kind of great. And you think for a second, okay, maybe this guy's luck is finally turning around. But then in comes Keanu Reeves as Gabriel, a well-meaning but slightly awkward angel who decides to meddle in Arj's life, and his goal is to show Arj that happiness doesn't come from money or material things, though. As the movie cleverly shows, that lesson isn't quite so simple. So one night you have Arj taking out Kiki Palmer's character out on a date, and she's kind of in the same struggle boat as him, and he decides to use Jeff's company cart to impress her. And $300 and something later, Jeff finds out and fires him. And that same night, Arj's car gets towed, his world falls apart, and he's kind of ready just to give up. And that is until Gabriel steps in and literally changes his life by swapping Arj's poor, overworked existence with Jeff's comfortable, privileged life. But what starts as a blessing, because he wants to clearly show him that he doesn't want that life, turns into something much deeper and much more complicated. Because the movie takes this kind of Freaky Friday-esque meet social commentary approach to class and privilege, and Arj suddenly gets to live that easy life, while Jeff has to see what it's really like to struggle. And Gabriel, being this celestial being, is just a front row seat to just really see how hard modern life is. And there's this one scene where Gabriel tries to hold down a normal job, and he's kind of just sitting over there like, wait, you have to work multiple jobs just to cover food and rent? Because one's not cutting it for him. And the other worker's like, yeah, man, he's like, welcome to reality, and maybe you got to get some other job, something like that. And it's so funny because it's just painfully true. The movie does a great job balancing the humor with genuine frustration about how broken the system does sometimes feel. Especially for people like Arj, who did the job, got the degree, and still can't find any work. And Keanu Reeves absolutely kills his Gabriel here because he's got this deadpan charm that works perfectly for an angel who's both wise and completely clueless about how humans actually live. And you can tell that Reeves is having a lot of fun with it, and his obsession with things like chicken nuggets and tacos becomes very hysterical in the movie. Now, Aziz Ansari brings that grounded vulnerability that made much work in this film, because you feel every ounce of his exhaustion and hope in his performance. And it's wild because he's not the only star in the film, but also I think he wrote it. I'm pretty sure he wrote it. I know he directed it though, and that alone I feel like deserves some credit. So Seth Rogen is also really good up in this. He's funny as usual, but not in that usual loud way. You really get the feel for him once his character life does go downhill, because he's not used to living like that. And he becomes that accidental victim of the story's message, and it gives him a chance just to actually act instead of just react. And I feel like the writing here really shines because the comedy does land, the drama does hit, and the pacing feels really tight. And there are those small human moments that make the story feel very relatable, like people arguing over bills or trying to balance rent and groceries. Like later on in the film, you see Gabriel being like, hey, this is all I have is a cigarette because I'm not getting money, okay? And, happiness isn't guaranteed, and it's all wrapped up in this smart, high-concept story about perspective, because it's heartfelt about being cheesy, and it's genuinely funny without losing that emotional weight. Now, by the time the credits roll, Good Fortune ends up being way more than just a comedy about an angel and struggling guy. It's a movie about empathy, perspective, and what enough really means for somebody. It's funny, it's sincere, and surprisingly deep. I feel like Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, and Aziz Ansari all bring their A game here, and honestly, if you took the comedy out of this completely, I feel like it would still work as a solid drama and still work with the message it's trying to give. That's how strong I feel like this story is. And so with that, I'm going to give Good Fortune a 9 out of 10. I feel like it's easily the best comedy that I've seen this year, which I haven't seen a lot, but it's still one of the best, I feel like. And I feel like it's maybe one of the most thoughtful ones too this year, with something to actually say. And so with that, like, subscribe for more, and comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this movie. I know financially it's not doing the best right now. I know Black Phone 2 is the winner this weekend, but if you did have a chance to watch this, I would like to know your thoughts on it, because I really, really loved it. I really thought that this movie was going to be completely different than what we got. And I'm glad that it had something to say instead of just being kind of goofy or whatever. I didn't know what to think based on the trailers, but I really, really enjoyed this one. So with that, catch you guys on the next one.
Why did you do this?
I tried to show him that wealth wouldn't solve all his problems.